Welcome back, and we're going to have Paul introduce our guest who's here in the studio from a union that this is the first time we've had somebody from this union here, and talking about a very important issue, which of course is health care, which has been in the news, and but more than being in the news, it's a fact of every person's life, whether you have it, don't have enough of it.
Okay, thank you, Diane, and thank you, Reese Saulter, who's an internal organizer with the Brotherhood of Maintenance of Way Workers, and that's a division of the Teamsters Union. Reese and I met at a conference to talk about Singlepayer that was held at Project South. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So first of all, could you tell us a little, like Diane said, this is a new union for us, what your union, what the workers do and what your job is?
Well, I'm part of the Brotherhood of Maintenance of Way. We're a division that works on we maintain the railroad tracks and the infrastructure buildings of all different railroads. They have Class 1 railroads and short line smaller railroads, and we maintain the track maintenance of those tracks. I've been a railroad worker for 10 years now, and I started this new role I'm in as an internal organizer for the Brotherhood to basically bring attention to our plight as far as getting the quality health care and quality wages for our members, and just bring attention to it, but also during our fight for bringing in attention, we can't just look at our fight for ourselves, as we also have to fight for others. So that's where we started focusing on single payer and bringing attention to single payer, because if you remove the negotiation of just healthcare off the books, and we can focus more on our things that really affect us as far as railroad workers, like quality of life, like work rules that will affect us, and quality pay wages. So if we had single payer healthcare in this country just as a railroad worker, it would eliminate us having to negotiate healthcare and that level of anxiety that we have to go through every contract and every bargaining round with the carriers.
If I could just interject right there, almost every union that we bring, we talk about a strike or we talk about contract negotiations for the last, I don't know how many years, the single issue has always been being able to maintain a health insurance that allows the workers to actually get health care, where the premiums aren't exorbitant, and that has always been the number one issue. And then so things like just what you said, wages and other benefits could become secondary to this fight to have health care. And so you're absolutely right that if unions, if everyone had health care in this country, the ability to negotiate these other things would be able to improve people's quality of life immensely.
Exactly. If you look at a railroad worker, and one of the benefits of being a railroad worker, after you work on the railroad for 30 years and you reach the age of 60, you are eligible for full retirement. Well, a lot of my brothers that's out there on the tracks now, they reached the age of 60 and they've done their 30 years, but can't retire. And the reason they can't retire, they can't afford quality health care on their own. So if they retire, their spouse might be sick, or they may have children, or sickly children, or someone they're raising, or their health might be deteriorating. So they have to keep working past those. You know, all your life you work to get a retirement, and then it's retirement age and you can't retire. So it's kind of the way the health care is set for us is almost a form of indentured servitude, where you have to stay working just to keep quality, affordable health care, where you can't have better quality or better choices in life or pursue other things. If you remove health care, that gentleman that done gave his life to the railroad for 30 years now can travel across country and visit his grandkids and go fishing and enjoy life and all the better aspects of life after you done committed 30 years to one company and you made it safely. The railroad is actually a kind of a dangerous environment, and people get hurt, and a lot of stuff that the railroads carry can haul is dangerous and is dangerous to this environment. So that's also another thing that this union looks into, is how we can maintain a quality environment while working on the railroad also.
Can you say a little more, because I think this really gets to the heart of what a labor movement should be, not just to care for a union's own members, but for the community as a whole. and why, in terms of healthcare, this came up for you, realizing that this was a fight for everyone, not just for your members.
Well, we have a slogan, and one of our slogans we like to use is everybody in, nobody out. And basically that means we want everyone to have quality, affordable health care in this country. And I mean, my slogan is from the womb to the tomb. So I think it's an American right that we, as when we're born, we should have health care until the day we die. And I just, if we pound our chest and say America is the land of the free and the home of the brave, sometimes we have to do something free, something brave to be free. And single-payer health care will lead us into being, doing something bold that this country needs to and revamp this whole healthcare system. You got people out there making, companies making billions of dollars on administrative fees, and just single payer would eliminate that.
Yes, so let's get into that. So for someone who's maybe heard the term single payer, what does that mean?
Single payer is a system where you will just pay out of your payroll tax. Right now, the average worker pays 1.5 towards Medicare. Well, under single payer, it could probably go up to 5%. For if you think of a person in real terms, like your contribution for a person making $50,000, 5% of that would be about $208 a month. That's what they'll contribute. Well, my personal contribution, far as my railroad, is $228 a month. So it's already lowering it for me if that was the case. Plus, I wouldn't have to pay high deductibles and high co-pays, and it wouldn't have to worry about someone shooting up the price of medicine. You know,
We've had workers here who, for MARTA, they're union members, they work now for a privatized company, and they've had to make a choice where you pay your bills or you pay your premium, but you can't do both. And that's the pressure that people who are making like $12 an hour, and you shouldn't have to make that choice.
yes. And if you work every day, you should be able to have affordable health care. If we could remove that aspect of it, just think you could be freed up to live your lives, and we'll have to make those tough decisions. Like for me, one of the things that go on in my household is like once we meet our deductible, November, December is like, let's make sure all the kids got all their appointments before January hit, because we know that we're gonna have to pay that deductible again. So if you had to eliminate that, and then you don't have to worry about your child being sick. If your child is sick, you take them to a doctor. But that's tough to make someone who's only making minimum wage. Someone's on minimum wage and they have a child, and then they have to make that decision. Do I take my child to work? My child is sick. My child has an ear infection. A lot of times parents will send their child to daycare sick because they can't afford to get their child proper treatment, in turn causing other kids to get sick.
Right.
And so the sickness just spread through the whole daycare because a parent had to make that choice of, I have to have a place for my child I got to provide a roof for my child's head, versus I can't spend the rent money to go get to the doctor. And it's sad that in this country that we say we are so rich and we're the greatest country in the world, where we make our citizens make tough decisions day after day rather to go get treated for simple stuff. And if you take care of the simple stuff, it eliminates the big stuff. But if you ignore the simple diagnosis, simple colds and stuff, if you don't treat the cold, it can lead to pneumonia. But if you could treat it and get it eliminated, it's simple stuff that we can do. There's medicine out there that can cure the simplest things, but if we left untreated, it can affect us all.
So what are the arguments that you hear, let's say, among your members about, for example, will I still get to pick my doctor?
Yes. You still get, basically, all your doctors are already in the healthcare plan. Everyone is still going to be in the same system. We already have the best facilities, the best hospitals. We provide the best facilities, and we have some of the best physicians and nurses in the country, in the world, here in the United States. And so only thing single payer does, and it's a benefit, it eliminates the middleman. It takes away from the greed of the middleman, the administrative greed. They get billions of dollars annually just from being the middle administrative fees. So and also that also hampers the how fast of service, how the speed of service you can get, because this doctor has to approve, and then it has to go, administrator have to code it right, and if it's not coded right, they send it back, and then they send the doctor coded this way, and it's not coded right, then all the while, the patient is still sick that needs this needed treatment. So it just, if you eliminate the administrative part, it would help overall. But a key thing about, it's going to have to be something dramatic in this country where you can't just turn it over to the government, but we're going to have to come up with a creative system that's no politics, no bureaucracy in it at all. It's just going to be just a system where it's nonpartisan, just eliminate the administrative part of it.
And I don't know if I'm the only one here who's on Medicare. Once you turn 65, that is what this program, that is the kind of model
Yes.
that for single payer is that for folks that are 65 and over in this country, you know, you're eligible to have your medical bills paid through Medicare. And while there is still some financial thing about it, the main thing is that it can be everything from the most minor thing to major surgery is covered. And this is a benefit you get for living long enough in the United States, but is the model really that everybody is talking about. And it is the way healthcare is done in almost every industrialized country, and many poor countries have you know, a nationalized or a single way that people get health care. And this idea of, you know, dozens and dozens and dozens of insurance companies and so many insurance policies with all the different, you know, you have to pay this much and then you have to pay that much, and somebody has to try to figure out pages and pages and pages of type to figure out what their benefit is all gone.
Right. And you rarely see anyone on Medicare older than 65 that's like, we don't like our insurance.
Right.
That's the you never see no one picketing election season saying, we don't like our insurance, so let's get rid of our insurance, you know. But we want to expand what you're already getting to enhance it, but we also want to increase it for everyone.
The same people that say they don't want government are happy to take Medicare.
Yes. Yes.
So, how, if this is such a good idea, how come we don't have it already?
Well, like I said, you have to think, if it's a system in place that's generating billions and billions of dollars, and the CEOs and Wall Street are making billions and billions of dollars, I wouldn't be so quick to get rid of that system either. So it's going to take a grassroots effort for people like House Bill 676 to get more people educated about what single payer is. It's going to benefit everybody, and it's going to eliminate the middleman. If you just get rid of the administrative fees, you're looking at over $400 billion a year that is going to go right back into the healthcare providing system. That's $400 billion a year that's going right, that we're handing back to our doctors and our nurses to give better health care. So it's better treatment across the board. So in rural areas, you'll be able to build more facilities for people in rural areas, because there would be a need, you know, even your population is smaller, but there would be a need for healthcare provider. It'll be more intriguing for a healthcare provider to move to a rural area if we had a single payer system, because they would know that they will have money coming in versus not having money coming in.
And we're seeing rural hospitals close.
Yes.
Because they're not profitable.
Right.
Yeah.
See, if you take the for-profit out of healthcare, then we could have a serious conversation about where healthcare can go in this country. But it's a for-profit system right now, and the profit is not going to the American. It's not going to the sick. It's not going to the working class. So who is it going to? It's going to the billionaires at Wall Street. It's not going to the people who really can benefit from it the most.
So can we talk a little more about strategy? Because you said, first of all, it sounds like this is a campaign of education. What else do you see? How do we get from where we are to achieving this?
Well, like one thing I do, It's about educating our members. A lot of people don't know what single payer is, so you explain to what single payer is, the benefits of single payer. Is it going to benefit you? How is it going to benefit us all? But sometimes you have to look at it. Simple question we all need to ask ourselves: is healthcare a right or a privilege? Is it a right or a privilege? Do we look at a sick person and say, you don't have the privilege to get health care? Or do you look at a sick person and say, you have the right to get health care? You know, and that when you look at it like that, so it's kind of a more educating people of what it is and how do we get our arms around it to get the Congress, the people who make the laws, to want to give up that power to the people who contribute to their campaigns. A lot of times, a lot of campaign, and it's not a Democrat or Republican or independent thing. They all get money from these healthcare and pharmaceutical companies for their campaigns. But however, it's, you know, how do you kind of get them to see that this is a good idea for us all? And I mean, it's working in other countries. It's working. We're just not. It's just that loophole of getting more people educated. But most of the people right now are for a single payer healthcare. 60% of the people who voted are for healthcare, single payer healthcare system in some form.
And what role do you think labor and unions in particular can play to making this a reality?
Well, we're the working class, and you know how to work. If the working class can get their arms around it and embrace it, because we will be contributing to this system, but it's like, am I my brother's keeper? Do I look out for my neighbor, or do I step aside and just say I got mine and you got to get yours? You know, and in that regard, as a union worker, we have to understand that a rising tide lifts all boats. So if we lift health care across in this country, everyone will get better health care. I mean, everyone will do better.
Well, you gave the perfect example of even within a union family, if one member of that family has insurance and the other spouse doesn't, then you're forced to keep working.
That's right.
So that's a perfect example of why it affects everybody, not just, it affects the family and the community. So what organizing are you seeing happening in the travels around that you're seeing as far as this movement goes?
Well, you have some great people that's doing a lot of stuff right here in Atlanta. You got the nurses in U Association is doing stuff in around single payer, getting education out. You got senators and representatives in Congress trying to get the word out about different House bills that they have. And Senator Sanders presented a bill about 2 or 3 weeks ago about single payer, trying to bring more awareness of it. There's a lot of strong campaigns for it. It's just getting more people involved in it and understanding what it is. It's actually a good thing for everyone.
Can I ask, so obviously healthcare is in the news a lot with the multiple attempts to roll back the Affordable Care Act, which of course was a way for the government to actually pay insurance companies to provide health care. But nevertheless, it covered a lot of folks who hadn't had insurance before, but still leaves tens of millions out. So now we've seen the money for CHIP is the health care for children assistance has not been renewed, although they claim that it will. So it seems as though there's a lot of news, negative news, about health care. And so one would think that with so many people being impacted by the uncertainty about whether the government is going to continue the subsidies under the Affordable Care Act, with people's insurance rates, you know, premiums going up, with all of this, that this would be the time that people would really be looking for a solution.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm wondering if when you go around and talk to people and they raise all these concerns, because a lot of people are scared now about whether they're going to be able to afford these premiums, whether they're going to get the subsidies, whether the kids are going to keep getting covered. Do you see more, I don't know, interest or more passion, let's put that, more determination that something has to be fixed.
Well, when you look at a lot, it's been a lot of strong campaigns against the ACA, Affordable Health Care Act. It just in our membership, a lot of guys didn't understand that under the Affordable Health Care Act, if you have children, they're covered to the age of 26. And if your well visit, your first physical, is covered. A lot of guys thought that our insurance would go up just because of the ACA, and that's an education. The Affordable Health Care Act was a good start for this country, but it still lacks and leaves a lot of millions of Americans uncovered. And with the current administration in Washington right now, they're doing a lot of unhinging a lot of things that's going to make the premiums go up and make where Affordable Health Care Act fail. So it's going to help where it's going to cause a cry from the citizens of the country to really keep this issue going forward, to say how do we make healthcare better in this country. And I think with the nurses are the most trusted organization, I guess, because a lot of people trust their nurses over their doctors. And politicians aren't. They're like some of the most untrusted in the country.
Like used car salesmen.
That's right. But so with the nurses being on board, with union members being on board, we're trying to educate people to say we have a solution, and the solution is universal health care, single payer, health care for all, and just a better system for everybody to do better in this country versus a system where you have to worry about premiums going up, subsidies getting taken away. Will my child fall off after the age, or will my child is sick and if he needs health care? And it just kind of, you remove all that doubt, and actually it would help on a person's mental health.
Exactly.
If you ain't got to worry about
stress,
health care all the time. Let's do something that's just going to instantly help America mentally. And just our mental health, you just don't have to worry about if I die today as a breadwinner, if I lose my bank. A sad part, most of the people who are in this country who file bankruptcy because of some form of medical, either medical bills or have to pay, or can't afford, or just went out sick and lost their home. Now this is the best country. Just because someone went out sick, they're gonna lose what they worked for all their life. That's not the American dream. That's not what they told me when I was growing up the American dream looked like. That I could work all my life and I get sick, that when I get sick and can't afford my bills, I'm gonna lose my home. But if we had a single payer healthcare system, everybody, you wouldn't have that worry. You would have affordable, you wouldn't have those high bills, and you wouldn't have to worry about if you had chemo treatment and how you're gonna pay for that. You wouldn't have to file bankruptcy and lose your home.
I was going to ask Dawn because she does work at a child care center, and so a lot of the parents are in the situation that you described earlier, and the workers. So I didn't know whether you wanted to just tell some anecdotal story from your own experience again, because a lot of people who are using child care oftentimes are low paid and single moms, and it is a real crisis.
And the insurance that's offered, once they take that insurance out of your check, and then you still have to go and have co-pays that you have to pay, and then you say, well, I can't go to the doctor because I can't even afford to pay the co-pay. So yeah, it's a crisis. It's a crisis, and so then you suffer through with that sickness and just say, well, still got to go to work, and then you spread that to the kids, and the kids spread it back to you, and you stay sick most of the winter, but you still have to work.
So is there a website or some place that you would recommend, Reese, for people to, investigate, learn more, and also whether there's any organizations besides your union and the nurses union and others that people can get involved in trying to figure out how they can actually have a voice on this issue of healthcare in the United States?
Let me get that website for you. It would be medicareforall.org. That's DICARFOALL.org for all, MedicareForAll.org. And you can find and you can get all the information you want. But like I said, the NNU does some real good information. The Southern Workers Assembly has doing some real good work in the Atlanta area, about single payer. And my goal, my job, as far as what I do daily, is educating my members and now the city of Atlanta about what single payer is and try to diffuse any misnomers and concerns of what it's going to cause in the long haul.
And I had one other question before you go, because we on this show talk so much about the South and what the role and the importance of a union has meant to you working in the South.
Well, I don't know if you know it, but union density in the South has declined in this country drastically. And actually, I've seen a chart the other day where you could tie it directly into healthcare premiums going up, where companies had to pay so much for healthcare, it was cheaper for them to outsource their jobs and take them overseas just to have a better healthcare outcome. But me working in the South and trying to, the word union in the South in some places will get you fired. And Georgia is a right-to-work state, and right-to-work actually doesn't mean right to work. It means the right to hire and fire, and it's a way to eliminate unions. And so Georgia was one of the first states to jump on board with this legislation to keep unions out of Georgia. And not to go into long detail, like when the Ford plant closed down in off of Hapeville, it was a deal that was supposed to be made where a lot of the workers from the Ford plant were supposed to go work down in LaGrange, Georgia. Well, a lot of those people didn't get jobs because one of the questions on the application was, were you ever affiliated with a union? So even though that, more likely a lot of people, only out of all the people who worked, I heard that they hired 4 people that worked at the Ford plant. Out of all those people who lost their jobs at the Ford plant, so that was a union shop. But the union is actually a good word. It's where people come to get together and do stuff to make their environment better, because we come together to bargain as one. It's not just one person going into bargaining with the company. It's a group coming together to collective bargain and get better output for all our members.
And as you are demonstrating today that unions care in the best tradition, they care not just for themselves but for the community as a whole.
We are a brother's keeper.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Reese. So folks, please tune in again next week to the Labor Forum from 4 to 5, and always stay tuned to WRFG, because every hour is going to be something worthwhile here on our station for progressive information and hand-picked quality music. We'll see you again next Monday.